There is a silence that speaks louder than words. It is the silence between two breaths, between sunrise and sunset, between the moment a man is born and the moment he understands why. Ecclesiastes begins in that silence. "Vanity of vanities," says the wise King Solomon, "all is vanity." For thousands of years, those words have echoed across generations, not as despair, but as a mirror. They are not a cry of hopelessness. They are a revelation about the impermanence of everything that is not aligned with the eternal. Welcome to Jewish wisdom. If you are hearing these words, it is not by chance. Something in your spirit is seeking answers that this world cannot provide. Here, we explore the sacred writings of the Torah, the prophets, and the wisdom books, not as distant theology, but as living fire that still breathes through the soul of humanity. Before we continue, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the ancient knowledge that was meant to awaken you. And if this message already touches something within you, write in the comments, "I am ready to receive divine wisdom." Because today we begin a journey through Ecclesiastes, one of the most mysterious books ever written. It is not a book of despair, it is a hidden map of consciousness, written by the wisest man who ever lived, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon. The rabbis taught that Solomon saw the entire cycle of existence, from the dust of the earth to the glory of heaven. He wrote Song of Songs in the light of youth, Proverbs in the maturity of wisdom, and Ecclesiastes in the quiet reflection of his final years. This book is not for the careless or the distracted. It was written for those who have already tasted success, love, and disappointment, and are now searching for meaning that cannot fade. Every word in Ecclesiastes was crafted with precision. In Hebrew, Kohelet, the title of the book, means the assembler, one who gathers wisdom from every corner of life. Solomon was not preaching, he was assembling. He gathered fragments of eternity hidden within the ordinary, and through his eyes, we learn that holiness is not far. It hides within our breath, our choices, our moments of stillness. The ancient sages taught that Kohelet must be read with tears and with fire. Tears, because it reveals the truth about the illusions we hold, and fire, because it burns those illusions away. To read it is to walk through the mirror of the soul. It asks, what remains when everything external fades? What is left when titles, wealth, and applause disappear? Solomon answers not with explanations, but with rhythm. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to weep and a time to laugh. These are not just poetic lines. They are the very pulse of divine design. In Judaism, time is not an enemy. It is a sacred instrument of transformation. Every season, every rise and fall, every silence and storm has a purpose. The Hebrew sages called this Zaman, holy time, and they believed that every moment carries the exact energy necessary for your soul's correction. Ecclesiastes teaches us that wisdom begins when we stop resisting the seasons. There is a time to plant and a time to uproot what has been planted. There is a time to build and a time to let go. Life is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be understood. In the Hebrew understanding, control belongs only to the Creator. Alignment belongs to us. When you align your choices with divine order, peace flows naturally. But most people live like the wind Solomon described, chasing success, running after shadows, trying to capture meaning in things that were never designed to last. That is why he repeats the word hevel, translated as vanity. But in Hebrew it means vapor or breath. Hevel is not evil. It is fleeting, the breath that fogs a mirror and disappears. The moment you realize that, you stop worshiping the temporary. You begin to seek what is eternal. The Talmud says that Solomon, despite his wealth and wisdom, ended his life with nothing but a staff in his hand and the name of God on his lips. Because in the end, all the gold, all the palaces, all the fame were only tools, never the goal. What mattered was the awareness that life itself is a sacred loan from the divine. The moment you understand that truth, you begin to live differently. You no longer ask, "What can I gain?" but "What can I give?" And that shift opens a spiritual gate that material success can never open. There is a mystery behind Solomon's tone. He speaks with melancholy, but also with light. That light is the secret of humility. The more a person grows in true wisdom, the more they realize how small they are before the infinite. In the Jewish tradition, humility is not weakness. It is spiritual strength. The Baal Shem Tov once said, "A heart that breaks for truth becomes a vessel for divine light." That is the essence of Ecclesiastes. Its purpose is not to depress, but to refine, to remove the noise until only truth remains. Look at the world today. The same cycle Solomon saw repeats. Generations come and go. New empires rise and fall. People still search for joy in possessions and applause. Yet nothing satisfies the hunger of the soul. Ecclesiastes whispers, "You are chasing the wind," because the soul was never meant to be fed by dust. Its nourishment comes from connection, to God, to purpose, to gratitude. If you truly want to begin the journey of wisdom, start with this simple act. Become aware. Awareness is the first gate of enlightenment. Notice how you speak, how you react, how you judge others. Notice the breath within you. It is the breath of the Creator. Every inhale is a reminder that you are sustained by divine mercy. Every exhale is an opportunity to release what no longer serves you. And perhaps that is the first hidden teaching of Ecclesiastes. Everything changes, but God remains. The world will keep spinning, success will come and go, but your soul was built for eternity. When Solomon said, "Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man," he was not commanding fear. He was describing awe, the awe of realizing that your life is not random, that the same power that created galaxies also breathes within you. So, if you have felt tired, if you have been searching for meaning in things that fade, let this be your turning point. Write in the comments once more, "I am ready to receive divine wisdom." Because this journey is not about religion, it is about revelation. The kind of revelation that restores your peace, your clarity, and your sense of sacred purpose. In the next chapter, we will enter the core of Solomon's mystery, the pattern he discovered that governs all human experience. You will see that nothing in your life has been wasted. Every season, even the painful ones, has been preparing you for a higher light. Stay until the end of this series. There is wisdom waiting for you that was hidden for centuries. And when it reaches you, it will change the way you see everything. In the silence of Solomon's later years, the spirit of wisdom descended upon him like the hush before dawn. The palace was quiet, the servants gone, the echo of songs long faded. He looked at the golden walls he had built and realized they could not contain eternity. "I turned myself to behold wisdom, madness, and folly," he wrote. "For what can the man do that comes after the king? This is not arrogance. It is surrender." The wisest man on earth had reached the summit of understanding and found that beyond knowledge lies something greater: reverence. In Hebrew, the word Solomon uses for wisdom is chochmah, the first emanation of divine light in Kabbalistic thought. It means insight that comes not from learning but from revelation, a flash of understanding so pure that it bypasses logic. Yet Solomon also speaks of hevel, the vapor. Between choshmah and hevel lies the mystery of existence, that all human wisdom dissolves when it tries to define the infinite. This is the paradox of Ecclesiastes. Its despair is not nihilism, but awe. When Solomon declares that everything under the sun is vanity, he is not saying that life has no meaning. He is saying that meaning cannot be found in the shadows of material pursuits. True meaning lives above the sun, in the eternal light of God. To grasp this, we must return to the foundation of Torah. In Genesis, when God breathes into Adam the breath of life, the Hebrew word used is neshama. It means not just breath, but divine consciousness. Ecclesiastes echoes this creation moment when Solomon writes, "The spirit returns to God who gave it." This single verse reveals an entire theology of being. Life is a divine loan. You are not here to possess, you are here to reflect. The body may age, but the soul only expands, gathering light from each season until it returns to its source. The rabbis of the Talmud saw Ecclesiastes as a commentary on the spiritual law of cycles. They said that Solomon was teaching the principle of Seder Hazmanim, the order of times. Everything that happens, from birth to death, from gain to loss, is orchestrated by the eternal. In our impatience, we call it delay. In heaven, it is perfection. When you understand this, your heart stops wrestling with what is and begins to align with what should be. You stop demanding answers and start receiving guidance. The Hebrew sages taught that Solomon's lament, "There is nothing new under the sun," should be read not as hopelessness, but as a reminder that divine truth does not change. The patterns of the universe repeat because they are part of a sacred choreography. Every dawn is a renewal of creation, every heartbeat a reaffirmation of covenant. To the unawakened, this repetition feels meaningless. To the wise, it is the rhythm of God. In Jewish mysticism, the sun represents the visible world, the realm of cause and effect, of effort and reward. But beyond the sun is the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light, where beginnings and endings dissolve. Solomon was pointing toward that realm when he wrote, "God has set eternity in the human heart." The Hebrew term Haolam, translated as eternity, also means hidden world. It suggests that within every soul there exists a concealed dimension that already knows divine truth. Our task in life is not to acquire that truth, but to remember it. Consider this. When Solomon speaks of time, he uses the phrase et l'kol, a time for everything. In the oral tradition, the sages explain that et implies divine appointment. Every event has been measured, every encounter weighed, every silence counted. There are no accidents, only awakenings. Even suffering, though painful, is purposeful. The Midrash tells that when Solomon lost his ring, engraved with the words, "This too shall pass," he fell into despair. But when it was returned to him, he smiled and said, "Now I understand. Joy and sorrow, gain and loss, both are temporary garments for the eternal soul." To live this way requires a shift in perception. Modern minds crave control, but the Torah teaches emunah, faith as trust, not belief. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to walk, even when the path is dark. Ecclesiastes embodies that faith. It invites you to look at life's uncertainties not as punishments, but as portals. The very things you resist are often the gates through which divine wisdom enters. In Hebrew thought, wisdom is not measured by how much you know, but by how much light your knowing carries. The sages say that when a person studies Torah for the sake of heaven, even the letters of Scripture glow before their eyes. Each verse becomes a mirror. Ecclesiastes, then, is not merely read, it is lived. When Solomon writes, "Better is the end of a thing than the beginning," he is not referring to success or failure. He is revealing a spiritual law. What begins in struggle often ends in illumination. The seed must break before it can bloom. Let us look deeper into Solomon's use of ruach, spirit, wind, breath. He says, "All things are full of weariness, man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing." The sages understood this as the restlessness of the soul. The spirit was born from eternity. Therefore, nothing finite can ever satisfy it. This is why material pleasure fades. It was never meant to fill an infinite hunger. Only the awareness of God can. One of the great medieval commentators, the Rambam, Maimonides, wrote that the highest form of wisdom is to recognize the limits of human understanding. When Solomon said, "I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly," he was admitting that reason alone cannot reach heaven. The mind can describe the path, but only the heart can walk it. And in Hebrew, the heart, lev, is not just emotion. It is the center of intention. It is where thought and spirit meet. The transformation Solomon speaks of is not intellectual, it is existential. It is the turning of the heart toward its source. Now, imagine the world as Solomon saw it. Cities rising, empires falling, kings crowned and forgotten. He had everything a man could desire, yet he wrote that all is vanity. The reason? He discovered the secret of impermanence. The Zohar, the foundational book of Jewish mysticism, explains that what is temporary cannot sustain joy, because joy is a reflection of the eternal. This is why the sages taught that true joy, simcha, comes from doing the will of the Creator, not from obtaining what the ego desires. Every act of kindness, every moment of gratitude, expands your inner vessel to receive divine light. Ecclesiastes reminds us that the soul's purpose is not comfort, but correction. The rabbis called this tikkun hanefesh, the rectification of the soul. Through your experiences, especially your trials, the soul is refined like silver in fire. The hardships you face are not punishments. They are mirrors revealing what still needs light. When you begin to see life this way, even pain becomes sacred. You no longer ask, "Why me?" but "What is this teaching me?" And in that moment, transformation begins. In the synagogue readings, Kohelet is read during the festival of Sukkot, the time when Jews dwell in fragile booths under the open sky. The message is clear. Everything material is temporary, but the divine presence, the Shekinah, dwells with those who remember. As the wind moves through the open walls of the sukkah, it whispers the same truth Solomon heard. Nothing lasts but love, and love is the face of God. So when Solomon ends his book saying, "Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man," the Hebrew word for fear, yirah, does not mean terror. It means reverent awareness, an awe that shakes the soul awake. The Kabbalists say that yirah and ahava, awe and love, are two wings of the same bird. Without awe, love becomes shallow. Without love, awe becomes cold. Together, they lift the soul toward unity with the infinite. Let this revelation settle in you. The teachings of Ecclesiastes are not about futility. They are about freedom. Freedom from illusion, from anxiety, from the tyranny of more. The Jewish sages did not see the world as evil. They saw it as unfinished. Your task is not to escape it, but to complete it, to elevate it through awareness, gratitude, and compassion. That is the hidden path of Solomon's wisdom. Take a deep breath. Feel it, the neshama within you, the spark of divine consciousness. You are not a traveler lost in vanity. You are a soul remembering its origin. Write this in the comments as a declaration of alignment. I choose to walk in divine awareness. Because awareness is the gate, and through that gate, every fleeting thing becomes eternal. The world around you may fade, but the light you awaken within will never die. That is the second secret of Ecclesiastes. The wind may pass, but the breath of God remains forever. The wind moves softly through the walls of the soul, and those who have ears to hear can recognize it. The voice of Solomon is no longer echoing from the past. It is breathing through you. His words were never meant to be read as philosophy. They were meant to be lived as revelation. And so, in this chapter, we descend from the heavens of wisdom to the ground of daily life, where the sacred meets the ordinary. The Jewish sages taught that Torah is not a book. It is a way of walking. Every commandment, every proverb, every teaching exists to refine the human being until the divine presence can rest upon them. The book of Ecclesiastes, therefore, is not a lament about life's emptiness, but an invitation to transform your daily existence into a living sanctuary. When Solomon wrote, "To everything there is a season," he was giving you a key to peace. Every emotion, every circumstance, every relationship that arises in your life is not random. It comes as a messenger. The anger that visits you is not an enemy. It is a teacher showing where your boundaries have been crossed. The sadness that fills your chest is not punishment. It is the soul mourning the distance between what is and what should be. The silence you feel in prayer is not rejection. It is the space God leaves so you can learn to seek Him more deeply. When you begin to see life this way, the struggle turns to dialogue, and the ordinary becomes sacred. The Torah says, "Be still," and know that I am God. This stillness is not inactivity. It is alignment. The sages call it menuchat hanefesh, the rest of the soul. It is the ability to move through the world with purpose without being enslaved by its noise. Ecclesiastes calls it the quietness of the spirit. To reach this state, one must practice the art of awareness in every act. When you eat, bless the food and recognize it as divine energy entering your body. When you work, offer your effort as a form of worship. When you speak, let your words build rather than destroy. Each of these small actions done with intention transforms the fleeting into the eternal. In Jewish practice, this transformation is known as kavana, spiritual focus. Without kavana, even the most noble deeds lose their light. With it, even the simplest gesture, like lighting a candle or giving a coin to someone in need, becomes a spark of holiness. The sages say that God hides in the details, waiting to be revealed by those who act with consciousness. Solomon's wisdom echoes the same truth. The one who watches the wind will never sow. In other words, those who wait for the perfect conditions to act will never grow. The right moment is not tomorrow. It is the one in which you awaken. Modern life teaches us to chase achievement. Jewish wisdom teaches us to cultivate meaning. The goal is not to have more, but to be more, to become a vessel wide enough to hold light. That is why the rabbis compared the soul to a cup. If it's already full of noise, pride, and judgment, even divine wisdom cannot pour into it. But when you empty yourself through humility, gratitude, and service, He fills you. This is the hidden practice behind the words vanity of vanities. To recognize the vanity of the world is not despair, it is cleansing. You are making space for the eternal. There is a beautiful tradition told by the Baal Shem Tov. Once, a disciple asked him, "Rabbi, where can I find God?" The master replied, "Wherever you let Him in." Ecclesiastes is the same answer written in poetry. God is not far. He is waiting inside your awareness. When Solomon said, "Two are better than one," he was not only speaking of friendship or marriage. He was revealing a secret of the soul, the union of matter and spirit. Every action has two sides, physical and spiritual, and the wise person unites them. You eat to nourish the body, but you also eat to bless the source. You work to sustain your family, but you also work to reveal divine order in the world. That unity is where holiness begins. Now look at your own life. How many times have you chased the wind, trying to control outcomes, forcing doors that were not meant to open yet? The Jewish path teaches that trust is the foundation of blessing. The Hebrew word bitachon means not only confidence, but intimacy. It is the certainty that the Creator is moving even when you cannot see movement. This trust does not make you passive, it makes you peaceful. It allows you to act with courage and patience at the same time. If you are facing uncertainty, if the future feels fragile, remember Solomon's voice. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you shall find it after many days. The sages interpreted this to mean, give freely, even when you do not see results. Acts of kindness, generosity, and faith never disappear. They circulate through time, returning when you need them most. Everything you sow in love becomes a seed in eternity. To apply this teaching, begin each morning with gratitude before you speak any other word. In Hebrew tradition, the first words upon awakening are Modeh Ani Lefanecha. I thank you, living and eternal King, for returning my soul within me. These words align you with the awareness that life is not owed, it is given. Gratitude opens the gates of abundance, because it trains the heart to recognize light, even in the smallest flicker. Then, throughout your day, practice the pause. Before reacting in anger, pause. Before judging another, pause. Before complaining, pause. That pause is where the divine voice hides. The rabbis used to say, "The pause of the wise brings peace to the world," because it is in that moment of stillness that you remember who you are, a soul carrying the breath of the Creator. Ecclesiastes also teaches the art of letting go. Better is a handful with quietness than both hands full with toil and chasing after the wind. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means releasing attachment to control. The hands that cling cannot receive. The heart that fears cannot hear. Jewish wisdom teaches that when you release what you cling to, you make room for what heaven intends for you. This is why the Sabbath, Shabbat, is considered the crown of creation. On that day, Jews stop creating and remember the Creator. It is the weekly reminder that we are not sustained by our effort alone, but by divine grace. In every pause, Shabbat is hidden. As you apply these principles, you will begin to notice a shift. Peace replaces anxiety. Clarity replaces confusion. Purpose replaces emptiness. This is not magic. It is alignment. You are no longer resisting the current of life. You are flowing with the sacred rhythm of Et L'Kol. And in that flow, miracles cease to be rare. They become natural. Before we close this chapter, take a moment to breathe deeply. Let this awareness sink in. Everything around you is temporary, but what you awaken inside is eternal. The work of Ecclesiastes is not to make you renounce the world, but to teach you how to live in it wisely, lovingly, and awake. The more you practice awareness, the more you will see divine fingerprints in every event. Now, as a gesture of commitment, write this in the comments. I choose to walk in wisdom every day. Because walking in wisdom is not a state, it is a practice. It begins in the small things, how you speak, how you forgive, how you see the light in others. That is the living Torah. That is the essence of Solomon's message. In the next and final chapter, we will go beyond wisdom into transformation. We will see how every soul passes through seasons of testing designed not to break, but to rebuild. You will understand how the pain you once cursed can become the doorway to revelation, and how, in the end, Ecclesiastes is not a lament of vanity, but a hymn to eternal joy. The night before Solomon died, the rabbis say he stood beneath the stars and whispered a prayer that only heaven could hear. It was not a prayer for power, nor for forgiveness. It was a prayer for understanding. Teach me, he said, to see your purpose even in the shadows. That is where the final secret of Ecclesiastes lives, not in the light that blinds, but in the light that hides. Every human being walks through a season of silence, a time when the heavens seem closed. The job fails, the friend betrays, the prayer remains unanswered. You begin to wonder if God has gone quiet, or if you simply cannot hear him. Solomon knew that silence intimately. He had tasted glory and loss, triumph and shame, and in that silence he learned what every soul must one day learn. God does not disappear, he deepens. When life becomes dark, the ego panics. It wants to fix, to run, to explain. But the soul understands that light often withdraws only so it can be rediscovered at a deeper level. The sages compared it to the Shekinah, the divine presence, following Israel into exile. Even when the people were far from Jerusalem, the presence went with them, veiled but never gone. This is the mystery behind Solomon's tone. He does not reject faith, he refines it. He strips away the illusion of control until what remains is trust pure as gold. This trust is not built in comfort, it is forged in surrender. The Hebrew word for faith, emunah, comes from the same root as training. Faith is the muscle of the soul. It grows through resistance. Every disappointment, every unanswered prayer, every delay is an invitation to strengthen that muscle. Solomon's wisdom does not promise escape from life's storms. It teaches you how to stand inside them with stillness. The race is not to the swift, he writes, nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happen to them all. To the modern mind, this sounds unfair. To the awakened soul, it is mercy, because it means the outcome is not determined by human power, but by divine purpose. In Jewish tradition, this understanding is lived through teshuvah, return, not just repentance, but returning to alignment with the Creator. Every mistake, every fall, becomes a path back to God when met with humility. The rabbis say that when a person truly returns, even their sins become merits, for they serve as the soil from which wisdom grows. Solomon's life itself was a circle of teshuvah. After his errors, his pride, his indulgence, he returned to simplicity. That is why the closing words of Ecclesiastes are not a cry of despair, but of redemption. Fear God and keep his commandments. In Hebrew, this phrase means live in reverent awareness and walk in harmony with his design. It is not about fear, it is about awakening. So how does this apply to you? Sitting here, listening, perhaps weary from the weight of your own questions. It means that everything you have lived, every rise, every fall, was not random. It was designed to lead you toward awareness. The moments that humbled you were the ones that made you real. The days that broke you were the ones that opened your heart. The people who left taught you to depend not on flesh, but on spirit. You are not behind schedule. You are in divine timing. The Kabbalists describe the soul as a flame attached to a wick. The wick is the body, the oil is the deeds, and the fire is the consciousness of God. The flame must lean, stretch, even flicker, but it never extinguishes as long as it clings to the source. This is why the Jewish people light candles at every sacred moment, Shabbat, Hanukkah, Yahrzeit, because light is remembrance. It is saying, even in darkness I choose to shine. Solomon understood this. When he spoke of the light that is sweet and pleasant to the eyes, he was not referring only to the sun, but to the inner light that no night can quench. To live this truth practically is to transform suffering into service. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, how can this reveal more of God through me? The pain that once paralyzed you becomes the tool that refines you. The obstacles that once terrified you become the altars where you meet the divine. This is the deepest secret of Kohelet. The meaning you seek is not hidden from you, it is hidden within you. Begin each day with that awareness. When you rise, acknowledge that the breath you take is the same breath that animated Adam. When you look into the mirror, remember that your reflection carries the image of the Creator. When you step into the world, know that every encounter is an assignment. The person who tests your patience may be the one chosen to reveal your compassion. The challenge you dread may be the doorway to your destiny. In the language of the sages, Hakol min hashamayim, everything is from heaven. There is a teaching in the Talmud that says, one who sees good in all things dwells already in the world to come. This is not metaphor, it is transformation. The world to come is not only a place, it is a perception. When you choose to see through the eyes of gratitude, you begin to live in eternity now. Solomon discovered that the kingdom of heaven is not found in palaces or temples, but in a mind at peace with God. Pause now, wherever you are, and breathe. Let the noise of the world fall silent for a moment. Feel the pulse of your own heart. It is the echo of divine rhythm. Whisper to yourself slowly, I am here, and He is with me. That single awareness dissolves fear. It is the practice the Hasidic masters call devakut, clinging to God through awareness, through love, through every breath. When you live this way, the boundaries between sacred and secular fade. Every table becomes an altar, every word a prayer, every act a mitzvah. So let the teaching of Ecclesiastes descend from the page into your day. Do not rush to fix the past or predict the future. Walk gently in the now, the only place where God meets man. Practice generosity, speak blessings, keep silence when anger rises, forgive before the apology comes. These are not lofty ideals. They are the tools of awakening. With them, you become the reflection of the wisdom you seek. Write this in the comments. If your heart agrees, I see purpose in every season of my life. Because that is what Solomon saw at the end of his journey. That everything, even what seems wasted, is woven by divine hands. When you live this truth, peace no longer depends on circumstances. It flows from within. You become, as the prophet said, a tree planted by streams of living water, whose leaves do not wither and whose fruit blesses others. And so, the wind of Kohelet still blows, not to scatter, but to cleanse. It carries away what is false, leaving only what can stand before eternity. The final chapter will reveal how this wisdom does not end with understanding. It culminates in transformation, where knowledge becomes light and light becomes love. Because the greatest secret of Ecclesiastes is not that all is vanity, but that through awareness, even vanity becomes divine.